Just in, the Spain to Denmark royal wedding that redefines luxury in 2025. The world expected elegance. But no one expected this. The royal wedding of 2025 didn't just sparkle with diamonds, it redefined what luxury means. From Spain to Denmark, two royal houses merged in a celebration so breathtaking, so emotionally charged, that it left the world questioning what true royalty really looks like. This is not just another royal wedding. It's a turning point in European history. The cameras flashed. The choir began. The world watched as Princess Leonor of Spain stepped out of her carriage, radiant, calm, and dressed in a gown that instantly became legendary. Designed by a fusion of Spanish craftsmanship and Danish minimalism, it shimmered with over 400 hours of hand embroidery and gems sourced from both nations, a perfect symbol of unity between two royal legacies. As she took her first steps toward the aisle of Copenhagen's Grand Cathedral, the crowd fell silent. Her father, King Felipe VI, held back tears. Her mother, Queen Letizia, smiled proudly, her eyes glistening, a look only a mother could give. The dress, the moment, the history, it all collided into something unforgettable. But behind that beauty lay months of tension, cultural clashes, and deep royal politics that threatened to overshadow it all. Because this wedding wasn't just about love. It was about diplomacy, legacy, and the future of Europe's oldest monarchies. So how did it all begin? Months earlier, whispers began in both Madrid and Copenhagen. Princess Leonor and Prince Christian's friendship, long admired, had deepened quietly. Behind palace walls, their bond had transformed into something more profound. But royal love stories are never simple. Each nation had its expectations, each family its traditions. Spain's royal court wanted grandeur, opulence worthy of a future queen. Denmark preferred simplicity, elegance rooted in humility. And somehow, Leonor and Christian had to merge both worlds into one day. The planning became an international operation. Spanish florists, Danish chefs, European couturiers, all brought together to create what royal experts now call the most ambitious wedding of the century. And yet, amid all that splendor, Leonor's greatest challenge wasn't the dress, the crown, or the ceremony. It was balance, the delicate dance of being both a young woman in love and a monarch in waiting. When she stood before the altar, beside Christian, every movement carried the weight of two nations. Every smile was history being written. Every tear, a symbol of the human heart behind the royal facade. As vows echoed through the cathedral, something shifted. The crowd wasn't just watching royalty, they were watching transformation. The world saw two future monarchs not bound by tradition, but by a new kind of leadership, one rooted in love, understanding, and equality. Outside, bells rang across Europe. The streets of Madrid and Copenhagen filled with flags, cheers, and tears. In Spain, people gathered around giant screens, waving the royal banner. In Denmark, crowds lined the canals, their reflections glowing in the evening lights. And as the couple appeared on the palace balcony for the first time as husband and wife, the world gasped. Not for the jewels, not for the gowns, but for the simplicity of that moment. The way Christian looked at Leonor. The way she smiled back. It wasn't a performance. It was real. Behind the scenes, stories began to emerge, of Leonor personally requesting the flowers from her grandmother's garden, of Christian choosing to wear a cufflink engraved with both nations' crests, of a handwritten letter Leonor gave to her father just hours before walking down the aisle, thanking him for his strength and example. Every detail was meaningful, every gesture deliberate, every moment iconic. And then came the reception, a display of royal grandeur unlike anything seen in modern Europe. The menu, curated by Spain's top chefs and Denmark's culinary masters, represented the union of Mediterranean passion and Nordic purity. Gold-trimmed tables, crystal chandeliers, live symphonies, yet the most powerful thing that night wasn't luxury. It was emotion. Guests described it as electric, an atmosphere heavy with both joy and reflection. World leaders mingled with artists, royals danced with citizens, and for one night, the old walls of monarchy felt human again. But even amid the joy, the symbolism couldn't be missed. This wasn't just a royal wedding, it was a statement. A declaration that the next generation of monarchs would rule differently. Leonor's speech during the reception sealed it. Her voice trembled slightly as she spoke in both Spanish and Danish, her words bridging not just languages but legacies. She thanked her parents, honored her grandparents, and promised to lead with grace and courage. Her final line silenced the room. Today we unite not just as two hearts, but as two nations, equal, enduring, and renewed. Tears flowed. Applause erupted. Even King Felipe was visibly moved. By dawn, newspapers across the world carried the same headline: "The wedding that redefined royalty." Because what the world saw that night wasn't the extravagance, it was the evolution. In a century where royal relevance is often questioned, Leonor and Christian's union proved that legacy can still inspire, that tradition can still transform, and that love, when rooted in purpose, can still move nations. Behind the jewels, beyond the crowns, it was a reminder that royalty is not about distance, it's about connection. And as Spain and Denmark look to their future, this single wedding stands as the moment that bridged the old world with the new. A world in which monarchy is no longer just inherited, but earned. And at the heart of it all stands Princess Leonor, Spain's beacon of renewal, and her prince, Christian of Denmark. Together, they've written the first chapter of a new royal era. One defined not by wealth, but by meaning. Not by gold, but by grace. This is the Spain to Denmark royal wedding that redefined luxury, not through what was worn or displayed, but through what was felt. Because in the end, true luxury isn't the sparkle of diamonds. It's the power of love, pure, human, and eternal.